Alright, so the key part to the making brownies problems is recognition that when I take the batter and I make that in a container, no matter what size container I pour it in, it will have the same volume. It's called the conservation of volume. If you think about if I take 20 ounce a 20-ounce bottle of soda and pour it in a big cup or a skinny cup, whether the height changes or the width changes, it's still going to be 20 ounces of soda that fits in that cup. So this is the same idea. I've got the same volume. It's just it's going to change the dimensions based on the size of the pan for which I pour it into. So I first have to figure out, well, what is the volume that I have of brownie? So I'm going to start with the idea that I have a 2-inch brownie in an 8 by 8 pan. So if I think about that brownie, that would be a rectangular prism, which would be length 2 inches by width 8 inches by height 8 inches. And that would tell me that my volume, my standard volume is 128 cubic inches, inch times inch times inch. So then I know the volume I have. That volume will stay the same no matter the problem. What changes are the dimensions that make up the problem. So now I'm going to instead look at the idea that I have a 13 by 9 pan, but I'm going to have the same volume. So again, it's going to be a rectangular prism, so I know I'm still doing length times width times height. So I know the 128 cubic inches doesn't change. I have my length and my width, 13 inches by 9 inches, and I don't have my height. So here I have 128 cubic inches will equal 117 square inches times height. So I'm going to divide both sides by 117 square inches. And if I look at my units, then what happens? My inch cubed divided by inch squareds go away. The cube becomes just straight inches, hence why the height will be in inches. And then 128 divided by 117 is approximately 1 and 9/100 inches. So a little over an inch thick brownie is what I will get when I move to this 13 by 9. So the height almost gets cut in half by changing the dimensions, but it's still a total volume of 128 cubic inches. So now if I flip to a pie plate, I still know, as I just found, that the volume has to be 128 cubic inches, and that's from the fact of where I start. But now I'm dealing with the volume of if I think about a pie plate that's circular with height, that's giving me a cylinder. And a cylinder is pi times the radius squared times the height. Now, if I'm using a 10-inch pie plate, that means that my diameter is 10 inches. And if my diameter is 10 inches, that means my radius is 5 inches. So when I put this together, I have 128 cubic inches equals 5 squared pi times h. So this will give me 128 cubic inches, and then 25 times pi, and I'm going to just use the approximate since I'm going to need that decimal value. That's approximately, I'll put the approximate symbol here, 78 and 54 hundredths square inches. And then I've got times the height. So I'm going to divide both sides by that 78 and 5400 square inches. And again here, inches squared will take out 2 of the 3 and leave me just with inches. And I'll find that my height, in this case, is approximately 1 and 63/100 inches. So it's a little bit thicker than when I use the 13 by 9. So again, it's the idea that I keep the same volume, and what's going to change in this case are the dimensions that make up that volume. But overall, it's still the same total amount of batter that I have to make that brownie.